Get Gutsy, episode number 85 with Suzanne Adams on Earth Angels, True Awakening, and Your Spiritual Path. Welcome to Get Gutsy. I'm your host, Jenny Fennig, and I am so excited to be on this journey with you. A cutting-edge show blending business and spirituality, Get Gutsy serves up a potent blend of stories, lessons, and tips to help you make a massive impact in the world through your soul's work and your inspired life. No more going it alone, no more excuses. The world needs more brave women saying yes to leadership. Are you with me? Good. Let's get gutsy now. Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Jenny here. So pumped to gather once again. And that's the beauty of this show is we get a chance to hang out. Every week we come together and we have really deep, meaningful conversations that change your life for the better. I hear from so many of our listeners telling me how a particular episode just landed with them. They're crying, they're laughing, they're making moves, they're expressing gratitude. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of the Get Gutsy movement. So today, we've got an amazing gal with us. And as I explained to our guest, her name is Suzanne Adams, I am actually recording this episode. So let's see if my energy is a bit different today, because this is the first time ever I've recorded an interview episode not in my office. I just wrapped up a VIP day with a client and it was freaking amazing. We covered so much ground, so I'm still kind of vibrating from that. Like, oh my gosh, like what we got done today. And so I brought my trusty microphone and my fabulous laptop MacBook Pro, and I get a chance to talk to this amazing gal, Suzanne Adams, who I'm going to tell you more about, and then we're going to dive right in because I really want to get to know her better. Sometimes our guests, I have history with them. I really know them, and this woman, Suzanne Adams, I am really getting to know during today's conversation. So I'm right in there with you, and we're going to have a blast together today. So get ready. Suzanne Adams is an author, motivational speaker, and life purpose consultant. She's a Huffington Post blogger. She's sharing her zest for life with audiences around the globe. Suzanne believes that having fun and following your passion are the keys to finding true happiness and living a life of fulfillment and joy. She's passionate about helping unlock exactly what that means for you. Suzanne, welcome to Get Gutsy.
Thank you, Jenny. I'm excited to be here today.
Yes. Now, you've got a little southern twang. Where are you from?
I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
I felt it, girl. I lived in Marietta for a lot of my childhood.
Yeah, cool.
So are you still in Atlanta?
I am.
Born and raised?
I'm born and raised in Athens, Georgia. So as you probably know, about an hour north. Yes, go Dogs. About an hour north of Atlanta.
Cool. Okay, well, my father still lives in Georgia. He lives in Duluth. And I do feel like Georgia definitely shaped a piece of me. It definitely shaped a piece of me. I am grateful to have lived in both Georgia and Florida from my childhood. Now I am completely different spot. I'm in the Northeast, New England.
Very different, yeah.
Very different. But when I hear that Southern twang, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm with you. I used to have a real accent when I was a kid. I used to audio tape my Christmases. Funny. It's funny now that I have a podcast. I'm like, oh wait, I just connected that, and I don't have the tapes anymore, but at one point I found them when I was much older and I listened and I'm like, oh my gosh, I really had a very strong Southern Georgia accent. So Suzanne, let's go back. I want to get to know you more. How did a Southern girl from Athens get into what you're into now? Tell us more about your path.
Well, so if you would have known me before spiritual Suzanne, you would be shocked, to be honest. So it's so funny because when I started cracking open and really feeling the call to connect with who I really am and to start sharing these messages, it was just kind of out of left field, and it was very opposite of what I was doing before. And I've always been like a happy and uplifting person. And I've always been able to manifest things. I just wasn't aware of what I was doing. So I was using the different properties of energy and creating, but I just was doing it on a very unconscious level. And basically what happened with me is I got to a point where I would want something in my life, or I would want to find something, or I'd want to achieve something, and I would get it. And I would think that it was going to fulfill something inside of me, and it wouldn't. Mm-hmm. And I got to a point in my life, only a few years ago, actually, and I was basically, or maybe I should say like maybe 4 years ago, I was at a point in my life where I had 3 failed romantic relationships, and I couldn't understand why it wasn't working out. I had this amazing job, but it wasn't fulfilling me, and I had a few other things happen, and for the first time in my life, I was just depressed. And I didn't realize I was depressed at the time, but it was like 5 o'clock rolled around and I needed a glass of wine to feel good. And I knew that wasn't right and that wasn't me. And so basically feeling like that was super uncomfortable for me, and it inspired me to start looking for help. And I ended up connecting with an energy healer that, I don't know, she just really inspired me, and she was able to help me to feel things and to see things that were aligned with my truth. And I started doing a ton of soul searching. I started reading a ton of books. I started going on retreats galore. I started becoming obsessed with watching inspirational talks and doing all this stuff, meditating. And then before you know it, I have this idea that I'm going to write this young adult book, and I'm going to shift my entire life and my entire career. And here we are.
Wow. Love that. Love that. So it was the failed relationships, the unfulfilling job, this feeling of being depressed, and the only thing that would make you feel better was that glass of wine at 5 o'clock. And how did you know that connecting with an energy healer was going to be a good move for you?
Well, so what happened, it was a few years, I guess 2 or 3 years before that, I had gone to Sedona, just on like a spa trip with a girlfriend. And I don't know if you've ever been there, but the energy is amazing. And I ended up, a friend of mine recommended that I go see a shamanic astrologer. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay. And I mean, I didn't really know past lives, or I didn't at the time believe in past lives. There was so much I didn't know. And I went and I had this 2.5 hour meeting with a shamanic astrologer in Sedona, and I was blown away, like by the stuff that he knew, the stuff that he was telling me. And, you know, he planted these seeds that I had this really bright future. And he told me, he's like, you're going to be an international spiritual teacher. And I like spit water out when he told me that, like laughing at him. But I mean, he spoke the truth. And so that was kind of like planted in the back of my head. Well, then the following year, I was on a different girls' trip at a different spa, and I ended up asking the girl at the counter, like, what's the most popular treatment here? And she said, oh, definitely the chakra healing and clearing. And she did a massage, and I didn't even know what chakras were. And I was like, okay, sign me up. And it was in that I knew that, I don't know, there was a recognition of a feeling that she was just able to help me facilitate. So when I got to that low, all I could think of was that woman and how I wanted her help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's amazing. Now, when you were with your girlfriends, and were they like, what are you doing, Suzanne? Like, you're going to talk to a shamanic astrologer, you're doing chakra healings. Like, were they getting it? Were they supportive, or was this like a solo quest?
No, I was with 2 different girlfriends on each trip, and they both did it too. They were game as well. They didn't know either. It was just it was like, okay, cool, let's try it. So now, that being said, when I started really having my true awakening, where I started opening up and exploring just a new area of life, that was very different. And I did feel extremely alone and scared, because I didn't really have a spiritual past, and I didn't really have a lot of people that knew about divine communication or spirituality and a lot of this stuff. So that was more like a little bit of a quest alone, and it was scary and terrifying, and it was a lot of stuff that I had to figure out and had to deal with. And a lot of that is the reason I actually wrote my book, Musings of an Earth Angel, because I wanted to create a story that was fun and exciting and magical about a girl going through a spiritual awakening, about a girl connecting to angels and connecting to the divinity, and so people could learn from it, but also so that people that were going through this didn't feel alone.
Right. That's so beautiful. So how many years into this path, this awakening, did you get the idea and then the courage up? Like, how long did it take for you to start birthing this book, Musings of an Earth Angel?
I got the idea, let's see, so I had started doing like some interpersonal work for about a year, and then I got the idea to write Musings of an Earth Angel May 2014, and in in the summer, 2 months later, I quit my corporate job.
Nice.
And it was insane. It was really insane, and I don't know, I was just being called on a big level to, there are a lot of people that needed to hear this story, and I can't even explain it. It was like an obsession, and there was definitely no turning back for me.
There was no turning back. What was your corporate job?
So my corporate job was medical device sales, and it was a job that I had enjoyed. And sometimes, I took an entire year off, but then I just realized that I could also do some corporate work and have some abundance that way, and then be able to fully invest more in my spiritual business and my personal growth business. So I stepped back into it a little bit after taking a year off, and it's amazing actually how fluid the two are working together, and I'm able to introduce people to these new concepts now that I'm stepping back into corporate in a very unique and unusual way.
That's beautiful, because I think that's how our paths crossed, is that we were both in Gabby Bernstein's Spirit Junkie Masterclass. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all coming together for me now. It's like I've had so many people on my show, and so sometimes it's like, wait, how are we connected again? Like, I know we're connected because we're having this conversation, but how did this all begin? It's like, oh yes, through Gabby. And that's very much what her message is that you can bring this work out into whatever world you're in. It doesn't necessarily mean that you've got to not go work in corporate or have this more institutional job. If that is the way that you can most be of service, then go do it, and go take these tools, go take these messages, and go help people, because there's people everywhere who need to be helped. And this is so funny, Suzanne, one of my college roommate, actually, I went to the University of Florida, so the big one of the rivals of University of Georgia.
With that ugly orange.
Yeah, ugly orange. Come on now. It's one of my favorite colors. But no, I used to be like so into the rivalry and the football, and going to Jacksonville, where it was like billed as the world's largest outdoor cocktail party when we played Georgia. It's usually Halloween weekend every year, but after being out for, I graduated in 1999, I'm like, I don't even know who's playing who when. Like, I just got so out of it, because I think for me, as I got deeper into my spiritual path and doing the work, I didn't have time for all that other stuff. Like, I had to really get focused. But anyway, my digression there was my college roommate. One of my college roommates, she lives in Atlanta, and she is in medical device sales.
Cool.
So your paths may have crossed at one point in that world, if you're visiting different hospitals and working with doctors and everything. So, okay, so you left that job for a while, worked on the book. So you finished the book while you were kind of on sabbatical for a year, if you will?
Yes. Yeah, I finished my book. I wrote the first draft with a writing coach in about 2.5 months, and that was obsessive, doing nothing else. And I don't recommend that. And
I do that too with my book. 3 months, freaking intense. You feel like you're dying, and a piece of you is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then, then I just started building my business, and worked. Fiction entails a little bit more editing than nonfiction, just because there's always character development and bringing the person into the story a little bit more and further and further and further. So the editing process was really long, and I had given myself a year. I said, okay, I'm just going to take a year. I'm going to do this. I'm going to birth this book. I'm going to let my body heal. I mean, my body went through massive trauma in a good way, but it was like I just had so much energy I needed to heal, and I was tired. I needed a lot of sleep, and anyway, so I nurtured my body, changed my diet, started doing yoga all the time, and I was happy. I was just really like in this place of joy because I was fully in alignment. And it was the summer of 2015. So it was coming up on exactly a year when I had quit my job and I was ready to launch my book. And I just said, I really need to go into this launch and to share this message from a state of abundance and from a place of abundance. And I sat in meditation and I prayed and I said, you know what? Like, I'm doing what I've been called to do. I'm doing what I've felt guided. Like, I need to be abundantly supported. Show me the fastest, easiest way to do that. Mm-hmm. And Jenny, it was so crazy because I would have never thought that I was going to be going back to my old job. Mm-hmm. But then within 12 hours, I got an unsolicited text message from my old boss, and he was like, hey, we just had a position open up in Atlanta. Any chance I could get you back?
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh. So anyways, it worked out so beautifully because I already knew how to do everything. I already knew the accounts and I enjoyed that job and I was good at it. So I called my boss and said, here's the deal. Like, I just wrote my first book. I'm launching it. I'm going to be writing other books and I've got other stuff going on, but I if you'll have me under those circumstances, then I would love to come back. And he said, I'll take it. So because for me, I just needed as long as I could be open, because I do think when you're in corporate, a lot of people get scared to share who they really are, to share what they're believing. And I your energy can shut down when you do that. So my thing was, I'm happy to go and do this as long as I can be me. Yes. And it's worked out beautifully. And so don't get me wrong, I don't run around like preaching or like teaching meditation at my job, but I am very open when people ask me what I did for the past year and what I'm doing. And it's been amazing, the connections and even the customers that have opened up to me and said, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I'm into this too. And blah, 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 blah. And it's really been cool.
I love that. And I know for a lot of our listeners, they're in a similar place. I know many of my past clients, students in various programs, that's what they're up to too. I mean, they're working in some kind of corporate or institutional setting. That was my past. I came from corporate in New York City. I too quit a job before I knew that I had a book, coming through me. It was just I had to quit to kind of neutralize things. I'm like, things are just getting out of control. And I had just trained to become a yoga teacher. I went through yoga teacher training and it just cracked me open. I was like, I can't go back. I can't keep doing this. Something had to give. Mm-hmm. And it's been a long road for me to build what I've built, to build this 6-figure business that's growing, and we have courses and programs. And, I just did this VIP day today with this amazing client, and I'm like, oh, and I thank God for just what occurred today. Like, I'm in this different room than I normally am in when I'm doing my episodes, and I just think about what came through for this beautiful human and what she's going to be able to create as a result. But it was a journey for me to get here. And there were many times when I just said, it's too hard. I made a good amount of money in corporate. I know that's your background, Suzanne. You work in medical device sales. Like, if you do well, you do well. It's a nice place to be. And that was I was a conference producer, and I was well compensated, and I had to really reinvent things. And it was intense, and I was in a position where I could do that. I had saved money. I have, everyone's situation is different, but I really want our listeners to take that in. If they're in a place where, they're working at some company and they can do what they're doing and be open. I love that your boss was like, yeah, and you were just straight up like, here's the way it is.
Because that's the only way that it was going to work for me. And what's been interesting is, so I was actually like making money in my spiritual business, but the thing is, I wanted the funds to invest further and to really continue to invest and to market my book the way I wanted to market and to continue to go on these retreats. And what happened for me is, it's amazing the doors that started just flying open. Like, once I did step back into corporate, and once I kind of surrendered my book and gave it to God, and 3 months after launching my book, I got a phone call from Hay House, and they selected me. They chose me. I was shocked when I got the phone call. They chose me to be on the Hay House World Summit speakers panel. I was on the speakers panel next to Deepak Chopra, Gabby Bernstein, Chris Carr, Dory Virtue, all of these, it was over 30 New York Times best-selling authors. And what has transpired over the past year has been amazing, because I'm hosting my second annual retreat in Sedona, and we sold out. We sold out. I mean, we are everything. And I have courses as well. And what's happening is the corporate work is allowing me to be the light, to introduce new principles, and to bring that joy into a whole different space. But it's also really being able to allow me to invest into fun and to hire people to help me market, to hire people to do the stuff on the internet that I don't want to do.
Yes.
And it's really, after being out of it for a year, and I had saved money as well, but when you start watching the money that you save just dwindle, when your energy is in a state of this has to work, it's not work.
Right. It's too much pressure. Exactly. And you had said you had these relationships that didn't work out. Are you still single? What's your relationship status?
I am still single.
It's all good. You're strong. You're not married, not partnered. Mm-hmm.
Not partnered. I'm dating, and I'm manifesting a hot, spiritual, successful man. I see he's close. I feel him in my energy, so
cool.
It shouldn't be too long.
Right. So you had to really do this on your own. It was this was on Suzanne to figure this out, to make it work. And I love what you said, and the ability to be able to invest in hiring team. So amazing. I wanted to ask you, so when's your Sedona retreat?
It's in September. And you speaking about watching spirit just flow through is so true. Last year we did our first one, and I co-hosted with Cameo Gore, a friend of mine who's also in the Spirit Junkie group. And last year we went, and we had both had very special experiences in Sedona. I was mentioning it earlier. And in my book, Musings of an Earth Angel, the character Samantha, she travels the world on a power spot hunt. It's sort of a soul retrieval to figure out her divine sacred mission on Earth as an Earth Angel. And her first power spot was Sedona. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is so perfect. Yeah. So both of us had just been on tons of retreats over the past couple of years. I mean, tons, obsessive amounts. And we said, let's create the retreat that we wish we would have had. And we went out last spring, and we did a scouting trip. And so we do bring in some, a couple of local practitioners to help with some energy healing and clearing. And we meditate on vortexes and do hikes, and we just do really deep healing and uplifting work. And it is amazing to see the transformation, honestly, not only in the people that show up, but in us too.
Yes. I love that. How many people do you have joining you?
22.
Gorgeous.
Yes.
Well done.
Yes.
Well done. You doing it with your friend again?
Yes.
Yes. That's nice. When you find someone who you really enjoy teaching with, holding space with, it's quite powerful.
Mm-hmm. And it's 4 nights. It's a decent amount of time, and I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, girl. I love it. I have been to Sedona only once, and it was pre-kids. My husband and I, we kind of sauntered over there. So I haven't experienced the spiritual awakening like you did there, but there's definitely been other areas where I live now. The Berkshires of Western Massachusetts. Are you familiar with this area, Suzanne?
Not a ton, no. But I know it's really beautiful.
This is
I went to Capella. Yeah.
Oh, so you've been here. This is it. This is the Berkshires. Yeah.
I got on a plane and I just showed up where I was supposed to be.
Yes, exactly. So I'm actually going to be at Gabby's retreat. We're recording this before she has her retreat at the end of July. I'll be there in a couple of weeks for her retreat, and then I have a 3-day, it's kind of like a day and a night retreat, and then 2 additional days for my coach training school students. I'm leading the first week in August here, and this is very sacred ground. It's said that the Berkshires has an energy vortex here with the position of the mountains and the energy that was created by the Mackinac Indians back in the day. So when I moved, my spiritual awakening was in New York City, where it started. It's been phases, right? But one of them was in New York City, and it became clear that my time in New York was over, and the Berkshires was my next step. This was the next step on my spiritual path. And so being here, just the expansive nature of this place, it's so powerful for me. And so this is where some of my best work is birthed. And like you, I love retreats. I love them. I love attending them. I love leading them. I love everything about them, because the attendees and the leads, right, the leaders, you walk away changed for the better. Like there's something that happens. There's a transformation. There's a shift. There is an action that results from your time there that could not have come out of anything except for that. Like it was just perfectly orchestrated. So I'm so glad that you do that. I'm so glad. Well, tell me more about your courses. Like how have you translated this, the spiritual awakening? Obviously one of the translations is your book, a retreat we're hearing about, because this is helpful too for our listeners who are maybe earlier on in their quest and they're figuring out, how do I take these downloads? How do I take these teachings? How do I take this love that I have inside of me and translate it into something tangible that my audience can experience and buy, right? And so tell us more about your courses, programs, like how did you design those? How do you run them? That kind of thing.
Yeah, sure. So I have currently 2 digital courses, and I think courses are a brilliant thing because you can help so many people, and it's something that once after it's created, it doesn't take a ton of your time anymore. Right. So my first course I did last year, and it's called Musings of an Earth Angel, A Course in Attracting Happiness and Freedom. And basically, I just break down the 5 simple steps that I use in my life and that I've used with my clients to attract more happiness and freedom. And it's a pretty basic course. It's good for a beginner or maybe somebody that's been on the path but kind of veered off and is coming back, or someone that just needs the tools with self-love or just the basics for divine connection. So that is that course. And then I'm actually just opened up enrollment now for my newest course. It's probably a little bit more interesting for your listeners, and it's called Musings Mastermind, and it is how to share your authentic voice with the world. And I break down the process of how to create a book, all the ins to publishing. Do you self-publish? Do you traditional publish? What are the pros and cons? How do you do either? What's the most important thing about the book? What's the best way to create your title and your cover? And then also the energy aspect of it, because if you're not cleaning and clearing and properly taking care of your energy, then you're not going to be properly expanded. And you need to have that expansion in order to be an energetic match for what you need to hold for your book or for the clients that you're calling in. So that, and just creating it, really what the reason I created it is because I started getting messages from people daily saying, I want to write a book, but I don't know where to start, or can you explain this about the publishing industry? So I think if you just kind of pay attention to what people are asking you naturally, then it gives you ideas of what people are coming to you for. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That's how I've created pretty much everything in my business as well. You just listen to the questions, and then often it's a conscious going out and asking the questions. So what are your biggest challenges? What's keeping you up at night? What are you really excited about? And listen, just listen. And often the ideas simply come by someone asking you that question. And so for all you gorgeous souls out there in the galaxy, what are people asking you about? You are an expert on something, even if you've only, with Suzanne, one book. My book's called Get Gutsy. I too created a book writing course last year as a result. Like my book was published in January of 2015. I created a book writing course. It was called the Book Writing Immersion. I think I launched that in like June or July because of that same year, because once you do it, it's so much work to do it. As you know, Suzanne, just writing it and deciding and hiring people to help you and blah, blah. And then you realize all the amazing things that happen as a result. And you want more people to experience that. You want others to get out there with their freaking book. And it's really never been easier, especially with the self-publishing industry being what it is. So how did you publish your book? Because that's for many a question of, well, how's that going to work?
Yeah, so my first book is actually a trilogy. So it's the first. It's the first. So think of like a Twilight or a Hunger Games, but with spiritual lessons, kind of weaved in it. And so for me, I was very unsure about how I wanted to publish. And I believe in doing things based on feelings versus logic. And I mean, we're human. You do have to factor in logic sometimes. But if you can really tune in and get really, really clear on what your inner guidance system is telling you, then in my opinion, that's just how you can blaze through things and really expand really fast. So I was back and forth. And initially I started looking for an agent, and it felt exhausting and it didn't feel good to me at all. And I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. It's draining my energy. So I decided, okay, I'm just going to self-publish. I'm going to go with Balboa. And what happened was the summer before I was about to launch, I had 2 agents that were actually interested. And these are big agents. One of them had an author under him that had just signed. This book had just gone book to movie, and another one worked with multiple New York Times bestselling authors. And so here I had these 2 agents, and they were interested, Jenny, but they weren't like, they were like, yeah, we can make this work. They weren't like, oh my gosh, this is the best book ever, and we have to represent you. And so I knew I was in a situation where it's like a dream come true on the one hand to even have the interest, but on the other hand, it's kind of like listing your house with someone that's like, yeah, we could probably sell your house,
Right,
It's a big deal. So I sat with it because I wasn't sure what to do. And the long and short of it is, like, my guidance system told me Balboa, Balboa, Balboa. And I didn't understand why, but I trusted it. And I went with Balboa. And now in hindsight, it makes total sense, was because Balboa led me to Hay House Radio, Hay House Radio is how they found me for the Hay House World Summit. And now I've got a few different publishing houses reading my manuscript and are interested in purchasing the trilogy. So I think my biggest advice to authors is to understand the different options and to tune into your inner guidance system, because you never know what your path is going to be, or you never know what you're not seeing, what's happening behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said. And there are a lot of different options there. And from my own experience, can honestly claim that when you get that download to write the book, and when you trust it and you follow it and put it out there, it will lead to opportunities, people, experiences, growth. You can't imagine it. I mean, this podcast, Suzanne, is a result of my book. Everything that has happened in the recent past, amazing big stuff related to the business, completely connected to the book. Recently, I launched. I train people to become coaches. I have my own coach training school, which blows me away. Still, I'm like, how did that happen?
That's amazing.
I know it is. Like, I say it, I'm like, what? It's so rad. That was my exodus from corporate. I took some time. I went to an ashram. I was like, what am I going to do with my life? I feel like my ambition went away because I got like brainwashed by yoga, and I just wanted to practice yoga and not deal with like super negative people and toxic environments. And lo and behold, I stumbled upon coaching and said, oh my gosh, I didn't know that this was a career. I didn't know people just did this thing that was always a thing that I was best at in my jobs, right? People come to me for solutions and brainstorming and motivation and guidance, and like, I could just do that. And so I got certified in coaching many years ago, and it became clear when, like, literally my book comes out, and it was like the floodgates opened, and I realized that there was this huge need in the market for a coach training that would actually train coaches to become great entrepreneurs and marketers, and not just awesome coaches. And then on the flip side, there was all these people who were calling themselves coaches. They were amazing marketers and entrepreneurs, but they didn't really know what coaching was. They had not gone through a process of really honing what it was to be a coach. So the opening was there for me, and it was because I had created space inside of me, having birthed the book, that I had the bandwidth to create that next level offering. And so my coaching school is called Get Gutsy Coach Training School. So everything happened after the freaking book came out. So it's very exciting for me to have conversations with authors like you, because we're like part of a very small club, right? There's not a lot of authors in the world. When you look at all of the people who are in the world, it's just like marathon runners, it's like it's a unique club, like triathletes, because there is so much that's required to do it. And for many, they want to do it. A lot of people in the world say they want to write a book, but a very, very small percentage will actually ever do it, because it requires so much commitment, so much courage to put your voice out there, because you know you're going to have some people who write you off. They think you're nuts. They read it and they think you suck. And then you're going to have others who you change their life, you know? And so if for all of our listeners, if this is something you want to do, please follow it. Trust it. There's a reason why, because the book opens you up to so much more. Suzanne, I call it the best business card in the world.
That's true. That's a great way to think about it. And the thing is like, if you feel called to write a book, if you have the idea that you want to write a book, then that means that you're supposed to write a book. Yes. And the truth is, there are people that need to hear your voice and hear your message that can only be served by what you have to offer. So I am definitely feeling called right now to help people. And, just like, as you were saying, it's so hard, but because I spent probably 2 years researching, like how to launch a book, how to have a bestseller, how to create, and how to do all this stuff. And that's why I wanted to create my latest. You
want to shorten the process for somebody. Yeah. I actually you're reminding me, when I knew I was going to write the books, I had a coach. I went to a VIP day and she was like, Jenny, book. She was like, that's the next step on your journey. And I went into like research mode, and I got and you just are trying to grapple with this idea. And I went to a Hay House workshop. It was the Hay House Writers Workshop in New York City. It was the summer of 2011. My second son was just born in April. Like, my husband was bringing him to me to nurse during breaks. I mean, it was intense, man. It was super intense. So thank you for creating your course around that. I wish you much success and love as you help your tribe connect with their authentic voice and share that with the world. And I love what you said about cleaning and clearing energy, because I have found that to be absolutely critical for us earth angels, for us spiritual folk. And you can get really sick if you don't do that.
Right. And just the way, we all wash our hair and brush our teeth and take a shower every day, but not everybody cleans their energy every day. And the thing is we all have an energetic body, just as we all have a physical body. And that's why I'm such a big cheerleader for meditation, because meditation naturally cleans your energy. Essential oils can clean your energy. And there's so many different tips and techniques for just taking care of your energy that most people just don't even know about.
Mm-hmm. So, some of your favorite essential oils, meditation, what else?
I think setting proper boundaries, and I was laughing when you said that you didn't want to be around negative people or any of that, because I'm that way still, and I refuse to be because, I'm not going to come back down to that level. I've
done that.
I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else or anything like that. We all have our moments, but we do have a choice on what we choose to react to. And when you react to something, you're giving your energy to it, and it's just more of about an awareness of where you're giving your energy, because we all have so much power, this God force that lives in our bodies, that we can create these magical things with, if we just know how to focus and put our energy towards what we want, instead of allowing it to be drained out of us, or just focusing on the things that aren't serving us and that we don't want.
Absolutely. Well said. You do need to protect your energy field. That was something I learned from Gabby in her Spirit Junkie Masterclass trainings. I did level 1 and level 2, and so I hung out with her for like a week last year at Kripalu. It was really great, and she talked a lot about that, and that was helpful, because I've been on this entrepreneurial journey since I quit my last corporate job in 2007, and which just blows my mind. And I've worked with high-level marketing mentors, online marketing people, online business, and we've touched on that. But Gabby really brought it to the light. Hardcore was like, this is critical. This is mission critical. Put on your spiritual cloak and be really mindful of that. And so on the energy clearing front, I think it's important that we touch on this. Something I've started doing that I have found to be helpful, and I was given this tip by a friend of mine who is an amazing spiritual business leader, and that is to use salt scrubs in the shower, salt, or even salt in the bath. It neutralizes the energy and clears it. And so I went to my local, my natural health food grocery store, and they sold salt scrubs, and they had, at the time, it was like a Himalayan salt scrub, which I purchased. And then she had told me that if you can get like a Dead Sea salt scrub, like that's really, really good. So the next time I went in, they had one. I was like, yes! So I got the Dead Sea salt scrub. I'm going to bust that one out very soon because my Himalayan's almost out. But that act of just going to the shower, you start with the base of your feet and you go all the way up, and you energetically are just, I'm clearing. Their stuff isn't mine. And I really have to do this because I do deep work with, with clients, with students in various courses, programs, the stuff at the retreat, Suzanne. I mean, some heavy stuff that's happening there. Right?
I'll take a salt bath in the middle of a retreat, like during the day. I'm like, excuse me.
I will be in salt. If you need me, I'm in the salt bath, okay?
Yeah.
And so you really have to train yourself that when you're holding the space, you're holding that energy, and you don't have to take that on. Their issues are not your issues. I used to think that I had to do that. Like, they're having a crappy day, I'm supposed to have a crappy day. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is not your job. You need to stand in your power here. You need to stand strong, and you must clean and clear your energy field regularly. Thank you for sharing that, Suzanne. So you're amazing. I'm so glad we got to go on this journey together. Super fun. Yeah, listen, I want to know, this is a question we ask all of our guests. Very curious about your answer. What is the gutsiest move you've ever made, and how does it inspire your life and work today?
Well, I think we talked about it at the beginning of the call, was when I really just decided to choose me for once and to align with what I know I was born to do, and really just owning that and going for that in a massive way. And the way that that's affected my life today is it's allowed me to accomplish everything that I've accomplished. And I think the one thing that your listeners can most benefit from understanding on my journey was the thing that allowed me to go big and to transform and to really elevate was getting rid of what is everyone else going to think. Because especially being born in the South, I was raised like to care what's everyone going to think, what's she going to think, what's so-and-so going to think of that dress, and that was ingrained in my every being. And when I first started opening up to personal growth and to deeper meaning and divine connection, it was all new for me. And the biggest limiting belief for me was what's everyone going to think, and that when you care about that, you're giving away your power. So for me, it was really letting that go, getting over it, and understanding the freedom and the bliss that comes with living life for you, doing what you're born to do, aligning with your life purpose, and letting go of what everyone else thinks, because the second that you let go of that is the second that you elevate and you rise, and you do write your book, and you do, host the courses, and you do all these things.
Love that. I get it. So many people are plagued. What is everyone else going to think? And once you can get past that, and that's interesting, that's a Southern thing too. Now that you said that, it's like, oh yeah, that very much is like keeping up with the appearances, and it's such a shackled way of living. And kudos to you for realizing who freaking cares what they're going to think.
Doesn't matter. That's like the last thing in the world you should care about.
No, it's like more like, what do you think? And I remember I came to that realization where it was, my thing was, what if they're going to be upset with me? What if they're not going to like what I'm about to do or what I did? And what I realized that no matter what somebody else felt about that, it mattered for me. It was like, if I can be my worst tormentor, I can be my worst tyrant, so much more than anybody else, because you know your own triggers. Like, you know how to go for your own jugular, you know exactly where it sits in your body, you know exactly what you can say to yourself. And so when you can feel loving towards yourself, when you can feel at peace because you did what you needed to do to live in your own truth, that is the ultimate freedom. So, Suzanne, how can our listeners support you? How can they grab your book? Where do you want to guide them?
So if you just go to musingsofanearthangel.com, so that's MUSINGS of an earthangel.com, there is a book trailer. It's a 60-second clip of my book. I'd love for everyone to check that out. And the book is available anywhere that you can get books. I have a giveaway on my website for free life purpose meditation. And whether you're just learning your life purpose or you're at a place of expansion where you just kind of need to go deeper on your life purpose, it really helps. And you can contact me or find me anywhere on that site.
Beautiful. musingsofanearthangel.com. Everyone go check Suzanne out. Love that. And you can also go to our show notes And all these links will be on there. And go to jennyfenig.com, put in Suzanne Adams or the name of this episode in the search bar, and you will find this episode. Suzanne, you're amazing. I am so blessed that we have had this opportunity to connect. Congratulations on all of your growth and gutsy moves. I am excited to see the next iteration in that trilogy and where your path evolves from here. And the next time I'm in Hotlanta, let's get together, shall we?
Yes, please. And thank you so much. And congratulations to you too. And I'm honored to have had this conversation.
Beautiful. And to all you gorgeous listeners out there in the Get Gutsy Galaxy, we are so thrilled to be on this journey with you. Keep coming back. We have so many more powerful messages and stories to serve up to you every single week. This is Jenny Fenig sending you so much love, light, and faith as you get gutsy. I will see you next time.
Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and you're listening to Get Gutsy with Jenny Fenig. Gutsy leaders unite and ignite.
Hey, are you ready to go on an adventure into the depths of your spirit and the heights of your potential, including a gorgeous sacred retreat to the spiritual center of Costa Rica to kick off the new year? If you are nodding your head yes, if you are jumping up and down saying yes, 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 I invite you to come see what all of the Glow buzz is about. That's right, Glow is my gorgeous 6-month leadership incubator and mastermind for spiritual entrepreneurs. I am so excited to get this out into the world. This is for you if you are ready to build a magnetic brand that allows you to reach more, make more, and play more. You want to join forces with a crew of fellow leaders who support you and love you unconditionally and champion you right alongside with me as you rise higher as the leader of the tribe you are meant to serve. Go check out glowmastermind.com. If you are excited by what you see, I invite you to fill out an application, and note there are very limited spots available in Glow. If you are a fit for Glow, you and I are going to hop on a private call so I can learn more about you and your big vision and how I can help. Again, go to glowmastermind.com today. I am so excited to see who is coming on this journey with me. It's Glow time.